Welcome to the Kellyanne Cares podcast, a one-of-a-kind show created to become your number one tool for your personal growth and business development. My name is Kelly, former pro makeup artist and luxury travel expert turned multi-passionate entrepreneur. My purpose is to get you organized to become the most productive version of yourself in both business and life. I'm here to show you that if you manifest, visualize, and put in the work, your dreams will indeed turn into a reality. Tune in to hear raw, unfiltered conversations from myself as well as my expert guests as we discuss our wins and losses, habits and routines, and what keeps us motivated, stimulated, and inspired. I promise to add value, raise awareness, help you take action, and incorporate more wellness into your day. Life is short. Invest in yourself. Make your own rules. Create your own happiness. And most importantly, enjoy the ride. Buckle up. Today's podcast experience starts now. Hello. Welcome to a brand new season of the Kellyanne Cares podcast. A brand new energy, a brand new chapter, not only in my life, but with this show. We are diving into personal growth and business development. You know, as somebody that has been podcasting for more than 6 years, I have rebranded, I've pivoted, and especially with entrepreneurship, like you really, as a podcaster and content creator, go through seasons of life and seasons of energy, and it shows in your work. And I feel like that happens so that you can help more people, right? So developing shows is what I do for a living, if you're new here. So when I launched this show, obviously more than 6 years ago, I did it because I needed a way to make an impact with other patients who were sick, because I was very sick at the time. And I wanted to also make money. I had a disease that was supposed to leave me blind and paralyzed. And the only way I felt like if I could make money was by using my voice. So I did. So I launched as the Happy Workaholic Podcast, a show for your business, LinkedIn, and life. And I focused a lot on patient advocacy and autoimmune diseases and just helping business owners and also patients, because that's what I was going through. And long story short, if you don't know this, I was actually misdiagnosed after multiple rounds and getting overdosed with chemotherapy, put on like 13 prescription medications, going through 6 different medical malpractice cases where I represented myself. And this past year, that all happened in 2016, 2017. And this past year, I've been back in Las Vegas after being in San Diego to heal after all of that. And I really needed to heal and kind of close that chapter of my life. And it was really hard. I feel like being sick and getting put on drugs and thinking you're going to die is sometimes harder than the healing aspect. And not in all the ways, just in certain ways. And it's made me rethink a lot of things, like who's in my life, what I want out of my life, where I want to go, who do I want to be surrounded by, where I want to be, my family, my friends, like just so much. Healing is so hard. And not a lot of people talk about that. You don't just like heal and you feel better. Like you've got to do the work. And I preach about this all the time. Like you just heard in the brand new intro, which by the way, I hope you liked it. But when you manifest and visualize, and I wrote about this in my book as well, you have to put in the work. You're not just going to get handed something. I mean, sometimes you are, thank you, universe, but you're getting signals and signs, but you've got to do the work. And when it comes to healing, it's like you've got to double down and use every tool in your little toolbox that you've created for yourself to truly feel better in your mind, your body, your business, and your life. And that's what last season and the last few years of the show were all about with Kellyanne Cares. And before that, it was Everything is Messy. And that's just a prime example of like entrepreneurship and business. I felt that when I released my book, which by the way, we're in the middle of like celebrating the 3-year anniversary, which is insane. I wrote it during the pandemic, and that alone was traumatic and brought up a lot of stuff. And that's when I was in the middle of 6 med mal cases where I had to become an overnight attorney. And that was like reliving trauma. And people don't realize like how traumatic that part is. And just as an example, which I completely understand, Britney Spears' book is about to come out, and there's headlines and stories everywhere. She did a spread in People, and she's not reading her book. She's not reading her own audiobook because it's true. The truth is, it's too traumatic. It's hard enough writing it, and she told the story to somebody else that wrote it, but Michelle Williams is actually reading her book, and Brittany's just coming in to do like little blurbs. It's just too much. It's too much to relive it. PTSD is no joke. And over the last couple of months, let alone years, but specifically last couple of months, my PTSD has been like on high alert, like smells and sounds, and like there's just so many triggers lately, and an immediate switch, like my life can completely change, like in my mind. It's insane how that works. And I want to share something else I just found out about, which is unreal and completely describes me. I found out through an Instagram video. So hold on, because I'm going to share that with you for in a second. But I wanted to just share like the growth of the show and the journey of the show and how hard it is for me to share. I've shared my entire life on this show. There's nothing I've held back except for maybe one thing diving deeper into, which I'm going to share a little piece of it just because I feel like it's necessary. And I know if I do, I'm always going to help at least one person. But there's just so much that I've put out there on the internet, that I've put out there on the show. And I do that because I know I'm strong enough to do that. Sharing my entire story of going through chemo and getting misdiagnosed with not one but two diseases, and then being completely healthy, and then having to heal, then having to go through the legal, then having to go through the pandemic, and then writing a book. You know, like I mentioned briefly, like with entrepreneurship and business, like you're always going to have wins and losses. And that's what I want to share a lot more of on the show, especially with other business owners, because I felt in my gut that when I released the book that I should rebrand the show to Everything is Messy, and they would piggyback off of each other. But it just didn't feel right. Like I felt like my book needed to live on its own after doing just a couple shows. And so I changed it to Kellyanne Cares because I wanted it to be a show focused more on caring about overall wellness, right? So Kellyanne Cares just flowed. Like it just sounded good. So we're keeping the name. It's my entire brand now. And I focus on business and LinkedIn and podcasting and personal development. And when I am writing and producing and recording and developing shows for clients, it just comes to me. I don't know how. People ask me this all the time. I see something and I immediately like see a vision. I was talking with a client last week and we were talking about another brand and like how I could help them. And I'm like, hold on, let me look at their website. And immediately I looked at a few things. I'm like, oh my God, I could do X, Y, Z. Like it just happens. Like I've always had a creative brain and mind, and I just like things just happen. But then you also have moments where you're stuck and you can't think of anything and you're like at a roadblock and you have writer's block. And that happened a lot after I wrote my book. But this past year, that happened more than I can even count. With his show, you'll notice, like, this is episode 350, first of all. Can we just, like, say, like, that is crazy. 350 episodes. So I was like, holy shit, this is the perfect time to do a brand new season because it's a brand new energy and it's just a brand new chapter for so much. And we're going to get into it all over the next few episodes. But when it comes to my own show, like, I couldn't record. I was having such a hard time. And this past week, again, one of the most difficult few days I've had. Oh my God, I cannot get emotional. But it's just me. I'm always emotional. And it's that time of the month. So here we are. Anyway, something happened. I found something out this week and it just like took me down. And my plan was to do a lot of these things that I was launching earlier, but I was in the middle of that and I was like, this is trying to teach me something because everything happens to us for a reason, right? And I believe it's to make us stronger. I believe it's to teach us something. I believe it's just to help us heal and for so many other reasons. But this past year I've spent, again, like healing. And sometimes you just need to be one with yourself. Like, I honestly feel like I pushed a lot of really, really close friends away because I just had to focus on myself. And unless you're somebody that like that needs to go through something alone, like you're not going to understand it. It's kind of like, if you're a podcaster, content creator, an author, a business owner in the digital space, like you think your friends are going to support you. They do, but they don't really understand like your other business friends who are always going to get it, right? That's why I have weekly calls with other business owners, because we just keep each other in check. We keep each other on our toes. We tell each other literally everything and like our pros and cons of launches and creative and marketing and just everything. Like you need people like that in your life. And unfortunately, I feel like I pushed a lot of people away over the last year while I was trying to get myself back. And right now I have to like kind of mend those relationships, and it sucks. Like I feel like that's my own fault and that's not a good way to heal. But I feel like sometimes it needs to happen that way in order for yourself to grow in the right direction. So that's where I'm at. So that's why I felt like now is the right time to grow the show to where it truly needs to be. And that is with personal growth and business development. I talk a lot about podcasting, but I don't talk a lot about all the work it takes to develop shows and also develop new businesses. I work with a lot of clients developing them, whether that's with their personal life or their professional life. And I feel like, obviously, I say this all the time, you've got to work on yourself first so that you can be the most productive version of yourself for others and also in business. You always see all these, oh shit, I forgot to turn the other phone off. Sorry. Just keeping it real as always. And I think that, all these big influencers and everybody's creating, I'm turning this off right now. Okay, it's off. All these influencers and entrepreneurs, their content now is all about like working out and, losing weight and eating right. I've been preaching that for years. Like, you've got to work on yourself first so that you can be the best for you, the people around you, others in business and in life, right? It's just factual. These are facts. Like everything on the show has always been facts. Facts from my life, facts from my guest life, and it's always sharing our stories. You have to share your story if you feel good enough to do so, because it's always going to help somebody else, even a random stranger. I can't even tell you how many times I've come across a random person, whether it's like at a store or a bar or a coffee shop or online or whatever, and like immediately our lives are impacted with like each of us sharing like a sentence. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's just the craziest thing. So anyway, we're in a brand new season of my life, of this show, of what's about to happen with this show. I am so excited to just share this with you. So as I just mentioned, personal growth, business development, that's our focus. Mental health and healing, productivity, getting organized, like those are just a given. We're always going to be talking about that. But now I'm bringing on expert guests. So whether that's with business and finance or stress management to healers and trauma and hypnotherapy and graphic design, menopause. I'm reading you my list of guests that are coming. Sound healers, AI and automation for your business. And then, of course, like brain and gut health products. And, of course, castor oil. If you haven't seen my viral castor oil videos, feel free to go check those out. But overall, people that are experts in their own fields and know how to level up in life and business and have tips and tricks and strategies like I've been giving you, but in that department. So it's like real life, right? Like, in the intro, I talk about us sharing our wins and our losses and our habits and our routines and what keeps us going. Like what kept me going this past year were habits, were getting the fuck out of my bed. I'm not about to be depressed. And I did go through a lot of waves of depression, but you have to get up. You have to get out of the house. You have to see sunshine. You have to have air. You have to talk to people. Just like little things like that go a long fucking way when you are going through something traumatic and not so good in the mental health department. And in the digital space, I want to bring on more pros that are really good with certain things because I want them to share their stories, but also how they got to where they are and their habits and routines and what keeps them going. Like we all have our own versions of success and our own versions of what keeps us happy and keeps us going. So I want more of these experts to come on, and you're going to hear from them, share all of this. So I'm really, really excited about just this overall new energy. And something I just found out about, and I don't know how, I have never seen this, but I shared an Instagram reel, and I'm going to share the creator. Her handle is Chanel XO. I think, oh my God, I can't read my own writing in my notes. Anyway, I'll tag her in the show notes because her content's really good. And she shared this Instagram reel talking about post-traumatic growth. And I'm like, what? What is that? And I'm going to share with you what she wrote as well. But basically, it's when you come out alive after your darkest days. I'm like, oh my God, I have PTSD, anxiety, depression, and now this post-traumatic growth. But it refers to positive psychological change resulting from a struggle with traumatic or highly challenging life circumstances. My hand's waving up in the air. That's from Wikipedia. And then there's another blurb that says that it's an example. What does it say? Examples of areas for growth. Okay. So what is an example of post-traumatic growth? And it says one study suggests that nearly 50% of trauma survivors experience post-traumatic growth after a traumatic event. Examples of areas for growth include personal strength, appreciation for life, new possibilities in life, spiritual change, and relationships with others. If that does not describe my fucking life, I do not know what it does. Now let me flip my page of notes and read what she wrote, and I'm going to tag her. I think it's just Chanel XO. And anyway, go look at her content. So what she actually wrote, because I always give creators their, what's due. So she personally wrote, rather than being overwhelmed with the aftermath of trauma, some people discover a newfound resilience, hands up, my hand is still up, a deeper sense of meaning and increased personal strength. That is what I got when I wrote my book. I started writing this novel, not a novel, but a book about my insane life of traveling the world as a pro makeup artist and luxury travel and all these things. And then when I got sick, nothing about that was positive. So I'm like, why am I going to write this book? I can't even write it. It's so traumatic. I want to write something that's going to make people happy. So I'm like, what makes me happy is cooking. That's my therapy. It always has been. I mean, I was a chef on yachts, which, by the way, I made Cornish hens the other day. I think I talked about this on the last episode. I still need to share the recipe, but that was one of the first things I ever had to cook my first day as a chef on board a yacht. Cornish hens. So the last time I did that was 13 years ago. I don't even know, longer. And I made them this past week and they were bomb. I didn't try it. I'm going based off of who ate it because it just grosses me out when I touch the meat and then I have to eat it. I'm one of those. So anyway, my cookbook, it was called the Chemical Free Cookbook. And as I was writing the recipes, stories in my mind just kept pouring, coming to me and pouring out. I had to write about it for moments in my life when I was creating those recipes, which a lot of them were when I was going through chemo. And then all of a sudden these chapters just started pouring out of me. So that's why it's 10 chapters of personal growth sprinkled with budget-friendly, delicious, healthy recipes. That is why. That's not a normal book. It's a one-of-a-kind publishing. And that's my life. I'm one of a kind. And I'm also a Gemini. So I always like to have my hands on a lot of things. And that's why I'm also a multi-passionate entrepreneur, because I could do a lot at the same time. Because I'm passionate about a lot of things. But the only way I'm able to do that is if I have my shit together and I'm doing it in an organized fashion, one that works best for me. So I can't believe she wrote that post, and it literally smacked me in the face. And when I saw that, it was after I found out that my father had passed away. And I found out Thursday night, and he didn't just pass away. He actually passed away September 9th, 2022, and I'm just finding out about it now. And long story short, I have no relationship with any of my family members since I got sick. So we're not going to go into that right now. But one of my clients is an incredible psychotherapist. really like shed a light on a few things for me. It made me feel good and talking to friends, but that is what kind of threw me for a loop this past week. So let's just keep on moving before I get emotional. That post-traumatic growth, I don't know how I've never come across this. I don't know how I've never seen this. But you know when you need something and it comes to you on that day, that was this post from this woman. And go check out her content. I will tag her. And the audio came from somebody else, but it's just like what I needed to see in that moment. And we're going to be talking a lot about, not a lot, but I'm definitely going to have more experts on talking about grief and trauma, because I was listening to this meditation and I was listening to an author of a book about grief, and she had a great relationship with her parents. And I have not over the last 6 years since I was 6. So it was hard to like associate myself like with that, because like how she was talking, like I didn't get anything out of it. What I needed more. So I want to bring on experts that are more in depth with people that don't have relationships with others, and then getting through the grief, because grief is hard. So there's that. So trauma and grief and sound healing. Susie is coming back on the show. I know I've talked about her like a million times. I do her sound baths every single day. And sound healing is, I think, one of the number one tools that I have used that has helped me heal. And if you haven't tried a sound bath, just go find her at The Copper Vessel on Instagram. It's life-changing. It's completely changed my life. And she also introduced me to the Sunday Citizen blanket, like during the pandemic. This was a purchase. The blanket was like $350 or something. I know you're probably thinking, what the hell? But it's actually like 25 pounds of crystals inside, crushed crystals. So I actually sleep on them. And I sleep so hard, and then to a sound bath every night. And I've been doing this for years. And that's just me. But then something else that comes, it's like the universe is sending me all the signals. And I was trying to piece together like this grief that I just told you about. And it's just crazy, because I was getting all these signs and these signals, and my friend took my phone and was looking at dates of like the day he died, the day his service was, where I was those days, where I was this year on those days, and everything adds up. Like the universe was trying to tell me this entire past year what was happening, and I had no idea. How could I? I have no relationship with any family member. But it's just insane how I didn't pick up on that, because I was so focused on my own healing while he obviously wasn't. So that's just crazy. So I came across this other audio today. It's like another signal from, of course, Taylor Swift, because she's everywhere. And I don't know who's interviewed. It kind of sounded like Diane Sawyer. I'm not sure, but it was an audio. And she was saying, you don't have to forgive and forget to move on. You have to become indifferent. Forgiveness for people that are important. She only forgives people that are important to her, and then just moves on. And that is something that I'm trying to do right now. Like I'm trying really hard. So it's a new chapter, a new energy, a new vibe, but I always keep it real. So that's like a little bit of my personal situations that I've been going through, healing and grief and trauma. And now post-traumatic growth, like who knew? So I'm going to have some experts on for sure talking about this topic, because it's incredible. It truly, like all this research I'm doing, like I'm literally like reading things that I do myself. So I'm like, this is my big growth period. Like there's one thing, like a lot of people ask when I get interviewed, like what's one word to describe yourself, and I always say resilient, because I don't know how the fuck I got through those 6 medical malpractice legal cases alive. Like having to defend yourself not once but 6 times to top litigating attorneys in the country, and then people saying like, you know, I have so many stories on this that I've shared on the show, like the doctors' names and everything. So if you actually go to kellyannecares.com, in the top right, the search bar, you can put in misdiagnosed, and like all those episodes will come up. But legally, I'm allowed to share their names. And I know the laws because I had to literally learn them all as I was going through that traumatic situation. But going back to like Britney Spears' book, like you can't keep reliving your trauma. You've got to move on to heal. And I feel like I've healed so much just coming back to Vegas this past year. It was extremely difficult. I've lost almost 40 pounds by just like walking and just focusing on myself and just my habits and my routines. And I eat really good. I intermittent fast. But lately I've been eating a lot of sugar, so I've really got to nix that habit. I treated myself to like a Diet Coke case, and I had a Diet Coke like every day the last 2 weeks, so that isn't a really good healthy habit. But besides that, I always intermittent fast. I've been doing that for years. I have my immunity drink in the morning, my ice water with lemon, with my pink Himalayan salt and baking soda as homemade electrolytes. I have my fantastic, delicious iced coffee, which, by the way, I just made a new creamer for my friend with coconut cream, dates, because it tastes like caramel, like a caramel. It's supposed to be like a knockoff, but like obviously healthier version of like Coffee Mate. So all the Coffee Mate girlies, by the way, please stop drinking that shit. There's fucking vegetable oil in it. It's just so bad for your gut. And I've healed so much with my gut and inflammation issues over the last year alone. But intermittent fasting does that. Castor oil does that. Eating a shit ton of greens, drinking your greens, liquid cabbage soups, like all these things play a huge part in my healing. Food is so good for healing because your gut controls your mind and your mind controls your body. So you've got to figure out a way that works best for you. And it's trial and error with everything. And that's what this show is going to teach you, is that if you are knocked down and you have to get back up and it keeps fucking happening, why does it keep happening? What do you need to do to work on yourself to become a better version so that you can be happier and healthier in your mind, body, business, and life? That was my tag from last season, but it's still true now. And now we're going to be bringing on experts to share even more information because I'm sick of just talking and I want to talk to more people and I want to involve more of you. And speaking of involving more of you, I just announced the launch of my monthly development membership. So it's really hard, like I said, to do a lot of things, but I'm good at it because I have my own flow, my own way of organizing, and I've just always liked to do a lot of things, right? So business, LinkedIn, podcasting, personal growth, and productivity, we're talking about it all. But here's the catch. You can come to one or all four Zooms every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, starting Wednesday, November 1st. First week is business. Second week is LinkedIn. Third week is podcasting. And not just if you want a podcast, if you want to learn how to be a guest on podcasts, how to make money from podcasts that aren't yours, how to become an affiliate, sponsorships, brands, like marketing, all that. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And then the last week is personal growth and productivity. So I'm trying to think to myself where I want my brand to be, how I can help more people in a shorter amount of time and sooner for you, like quicker, right? I'm like, oh my God, I do like 4 major things. What if I did a call once a week for those people, but then if you wanted to come to the others, you could. So that's what I did. That's what I created. I mean, I created my podcast development agency out of a demand, out of a need, because everybody was asking me how I just did what I did. I don't know. I just put it together. I just figured it out like everything else I usually do. So that's what I just did. I released a monthly development membership for $97 a month, and you don't have to do like X amount of months. You just pay per month. You have access to all 4 coaching calls. And then if you want an additional one-on-one coaching call with me, I have hiccups, it's $197 a month. Here they come. I talk really fast and I don't take breaks because there's just so much excitement and so much to tell you in this short amount of time. Please hold. I am going to take a sip. By the way, did you listen to last episode about business and content strategy for 2024? You're definitely going to want to tune into that. And don't mind my cough attack and me rumbling through my purse trying to find a damn Vicks cough drop in the middle of it. Anyway, so monthly development membership. It is for business. It is for LinkedIn. It is for podcasting. It is for personal growth and productivity. If you are like, how the fuck do I make money on LinkedIn? I will school you every week on how to do that. I've been coaching clients on LinkedIn for like the last 12 years. And it's been my bread and butter to my business multiple times, multiple businesses, as well as the growth of the show and my book. So it is not just for podcasters and entrepreneurs, but if Snoop Dogg is on there and every other celebrity is getting on LinkedIn, you better get a little behind on LinkedIn, especially if you're looking for a new job, new brands to pitch. Literally, I was talking to a friend in Boston the other day, and she was doing makeup she's an incredible makeup artist, and we worked together many, many years ago. And we're still close friends, and she's very big in the bridal season. Like, her brides book her like a year in advance, and she's sold out like the whole wedding season. It's nuts. And we were talking, and she was no longer with these agencies. She's going off on her own. And I'm like, oh my God, didn't you just move to like downtown Boston? You should be doing corporate headshot makeup for all these brands in the city. She's like, how do I even do that? I'm like, get your ass on LinkedIn. She's like, how do I do that? I'm like, come to the class. It's literally that simple. Like, she's an incredible fucking makeup artist, and that is easy makeup. Bridal makeup is the most like demanding makeup, but sometimes, like, to be honest, it could be really simple, but I haven't done a bride's makeup in like 2 decades, but there are such things as bridezillas. But I'm like, if your daughter's getting older, if you want to slow down but still make a shit ton of money and you love your craft, corporate headshots, get your ass on LinkedIn and start promoting yourself right now. You will make a killing. That's a prime example. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing that story. Anyway, you've got to be on LinkedIn. So if you want to learn about how to launch a business or strategies or how to prepare for the next year or anything social media, you come to week 1 classes every month for $97. If you're like, I really want to learn more about LinkedIn, then you come to that one too. If you want to learn about podcasting and how to grow your brand through podcasting, but not even having your own show, or maybe you want to develop a show, then you come to that 3rd week class. And then if you want to really hone in on your personal growth and productivity, you come to week 4. Now, that is not 4 prices. That is 1 price, 4 classes. So it's $97 a month. And you get access to all 4. And then again, it's $197 a month if you want an additional one-on-one coaching call with me. Now, the savings is over $1,200. It's actually $1,500 or $1,800, I think, when I added it up the other day. I just want to help more people level the fuck up before the end of the year. That's it. And I'm like so serious. Like, I'm so passionate about what I do that it makes me emotional, because 1, I get to wake up every day and continuously do that. There were days I never thought I could do that. Even this past